So a story today in Politico, apparently there was a big meeting, Democratic caucus, in the wake of Justin Amash, this Michigan Republican congressman, libertarian, outlier, definitely, but he has called for impeachment. Says the threshold's been met. And so you have members, according to this Politico piece, of the Democratic caucus leadership, Jamie Laskin, a couple others, Raskin, I should say, who he is a constitutional law professor. They want to start proceedings largely because this is all about the obstruction now, is really the sort of the straw that's broken the camel's back for Amash and for others. When you start impeachment hearings, I've said this in the past, the weight of a congressional subpoena under the auspices of impeachment inquiry is simply heavier, and as judged by the courts, and from a political standpoint. And this Amash thing, and yesterday I said I made it bipartisan. I was being a little bit trollish with that because I sort of hate that construction that one member of a party can make it bipartisan. But particularly when you're talking about the Republicans who simply, it's a fact, march in lockstep far more often than the Democrats. But just even broadly speaking, there is something between bipartisanship and partisanship, right? That it's not necessarily bipartisan, the call for impeachment now, although there's members of both parties. But what it does is the knee-jerk reaction that Republican voters have, that the only reason why the Democrats are pursuing this is because of partisanship. That no longer works in the same way. It creates pressure on Republicans because if it was just partisanship, it would be a no-brainer for every Republican to say, I'm not signing on to it. I was talking to Brendan about this beforehand. The analogy he made was, it's the difference between it's a crack in the ice. The ice hasn't broken up, but the ice is not rock solid. And that crack has relevance. It creates pressure. And apparently, though, Nancy Pelosi still being adamant that the play here for Democrats is to just pursue serious bipartisan legislation, like things like enhance the do not call registry and, look for an infrastructure bill that will never happen. And
maybe we could do a fraudulent bill with Donald Trump on infrastructure to privatize toll booths.
There you go.
And maybe you'd appreciate a few less calls at night, Samuel. I bet you would.
Here's Mika one-on-one with Speaker Pelosi right after that meeting, I believe.
Justin Amash's position on impeachment, he's tweeted more today. He's come right back at the president. Does it fit the bar for bipartisan support for impeachment?
Well, the bipartisan support for impeachment has to be in the Senate.
Yeah.
In terms of Congressman Amash, his voice speaks to the silence of so many all the other Republicans not to hold this president accountable for the oath of office that he takes to protect and defend the Constitution, respecting the co-equal branches of government. So Amash may be one voice, but the fact that it is in the absence of other voices, it speaks very loudly.
So doesn't it put more pressure on you that a conservative Republican says the threshold for impeachment has been met?
No.
No?
No.
Why?
Well, we have to, we're not, this isn't about politics, it's not about passion, it's not about prejudice, it's not about politics, it's about patriotism, and it's about the presentation of the facts so that the American people can see why we're going down a certain path.
That is one of the most incoherent responses. The only thing that strikes me about this, she says it's not about politics, not about passion, it's about patriotism and presenting the facts. The only thing that strikes me about that makes any sense whatsoever is that it's all peas. And she's for some reason, I feel like there's some type of code there, like we're only going to speak in alliterations. And therefore, I just don't know what the therefore part is. But it's clear that she has a plan, and it's just to speak in alliteration.
Well,
But here's the bottom line. The first half of her response, that Amash understands that the president is completely obstructing the job of Congress. We just heard this from a federal judge. It makes absolutely no sense that Congress has an impeachment power and that they have oversight authority if they don't have authority to investigate. It is a complete undermining of our constitutional structure, what the White House is doing in terms of like keeping Don McGahn from testifying, keeping Mueller from testifying, Bill Barr not showing up. This is, I mean, I think there are other reasons to impeach Donald Trump. Again, read the report. Read the Mueller report. It's pretty stunning. You had Michael Cohen apparently told lawmakers, right, this would be part of an impeachment hearing, that Donald Trump's personal lawyer told him to lie to Congress. Basically said, perjure yourself. This is all impeachable. And the idea that Pelosi can say, at least Amash has principles and is showing up the rest of the Republican Party. The bottom line is, if you don't pursue impeachment in this instance, for the obvious obstruction, you're basically saying, that's it. Congress loses the power. This is a use it or lose it type of situation. You won't remove Donald Trump from office, but what you will do is lay down a marker and say, there is a thing called accountability. We may not be able to remove you from office, but we can impeach you. We can put it on record that you've been impeached. And from a political standpoint, it seems impossible to me now that this is tenable, like that this is some type of recipe for winning. I mean, I guess maybe there's some type of 14-dimensional chess where Nancy Pelosi wants to be, lead from way behind. But I just don't think that happens in this scenario.
Can I just add two really quick things? One, it's incredibly frustrating also because when she speaks like that, she makes it sound as if Hamas is doing a Jeff Flake thing, which is exactly the opposite of what he's doing.
Right.
To be really clear, if you read his Twitter thread, this is not I'm a Republican, but I'm a little bit fed up that Donald Trump is such a jerk. He is giving the most clear and cogent breakdown of, and again, part of the reason that I don't put much energy into this is because to me, it just seems demonstrable that they're not taking their functionality seriously. But he's just saying, look, this dude has clearly obstructed justice. This has happened. It's documented. It's clear. He's doing it right now. And therefore, as a good libertarian constitutional nerd, our job kicks in to do X. It's the opposite of the type of posturing that she's talking about. It's a clear clinical case. And she's failing on both counts because she's not connecting with the grassroots Rashida Tlaib, let's just impeach the MFer because, of course, F him, or this is actually a thing. Right. This is actually a job that we actually theoretically do this.
Yeah, if it's really about like patriotism and preserving norms and doing it the right way or whatever, they should be doing these proceedings as the information comes to light without regard to politics or when the election is, or if she's doing some like 20-dimensional political chess, she should tell people that, like, we're going to impeach this guy. It'll be easier to do it after the election.